What's up, family? I'm DJ King 101 Games here, back again with a brand new video. And today, I am going to be talking about, well, actually, I should be doing an update video. I tried to do that on my birthday, which was last Sunday, October 20th, but the video didn't upload for some stupid reason, and now I'm just at a point where if videos don't upload, I'm fed up trying to get them on because it's really annoying me. This video is going to be a lot about Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. One of my favorite videos I did, I was going to try to get a new Luke skin, but to be honest, I can't be bothered talking through Ewok Hunt. One of my favorite videos I've done was, just because of the sheer excitement I had when recording it, was my review of The Last Jedi, or my thoughts on the Star Wars The Last Jedi. And truth be told, I still stand by my opinions towards that film despite the intense controversy. But at the same time, I have only seen it once, and that was when I watched it in the cinema nearly 2 years ago now. Yes, I have rewatched some of the more iconic scenes like the throne room battle, Luke facing down the First Order, stuff like that. I do want to watch the whole film again at some point before I go see The Rise of Skywalker, because I'd quite like to have a Star Wars binging marathon. Star Wars marathon before I go see The Rise of Skywalker, which is of course the final movie in the Star Wars Skywalker saga, the 9 films, you know, all the stories they've told. It's going to be the Endgame equivalent to Star Wars, which I am very excited about because I loved Endgame and I love Star Wars, so I think it's going to be good. Anyway, let's go to the planet that kind of started it all for all of our heroes. I'm doing this live, which means I am recording gameplay while commentating instead of pre-recording gameplay and commentating over, so there will be a lot of stumbling and stuttering and stuff, a lot like that. I've just finished my first half term of year 11 and I'm very tired, and I have a lot of revision to do over this half term, so I'm taking this Saturday as a day off and then I'm going to get to it. Anyway, enough procrastination. What did I think of the new trailer? I think it was incredible. It really was. I think it was probably better than some of the... Probably better than some of the Last Jedi trailers, even though I did like those. I kind of liked it because it didn't really give anything away. And that, for me, is really quite important. We all know this will be the final battle between Rey and Kylo Ren. We all know that the Death Star's back because of the first trailer. It's just kind of repeating what we already saw, which can be a bad thing, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world, because it just means that we're going to be more surprised and more amazed over what we see come the cinema. I think they've given enough away. In fact, they've kind of let the Easter eggs do the talking. There was the thing with C-3PO, and I'm very worried about that, by the way. I hope the god C-3PO doesn't die, because that's just... No, I'll cry. I'll cry if that guy dies. But, yes. Basically, if, we actually saw a lot of, prequel Easter eggs, which I was very happy about, because I love, the prequels. Episode 3 is one of my favourite movies of all time. I quite liked how there was a droid Easter egg, battle droid from the prequels. If you look closely, there is a shot of one of those things by where 3PO is. Frankly, that was a lot. And of course C-3PO says the last, oh, taking one last look at my friends. That was very sweet. It was very worrying as well, because is 3PO gonna die? Are we gonna lose? Are we gonna lose probably the Star Wars character that has been in every single 3PO and R2? They're more or so prominent than Obi-Wan. Okay, I don't know what that was about. More Obi-Wan, Yoda, all of them, Anakin, Darth Vader, whatever you want to call them. 3PO and R2, they've been in it more than they have, and it's gonna be sad to see him go. But yes, the trailer. The one thing I didn't like about the trailer was how they kind of they did show. I was fine with the fact they didn't really show as much in terms of story, but it didn't really show much in terms of action that will really get me going. We actually, one of my favourite scenes in Endgame, and I'll get to why this is important to this video in a second, was Avengers Assembled, where all the Avengers finally came together. Every hero from the MCU over the past 11 years, they all come together. We got a glimpse of something like that with the ships of Star Wars in the trailer, which is going to be amazing. But I would have preferred had it been a bunch of OG characters on the ground, much like Endgame. But you know, I do like how they kind of went a different approach around it. But at the same time, that was the only moment where I was like seriously on the edge of my seat. It was just mainly lines and dialogue, and also hearing Luke's voice and the Emperor. It was just kind of that really got me on the edge of my seat for this trailer. I think it was really good. However, I just feel like there was a lot missing in terms of action, and really something that would just truly drive me to want to go see it, which to be honest isn't really that important because I will see it anyway. One of the things I did really like about it was how it's kind of Rey, a lot of the things about sorry, I'm really sorry, I've not scripted any of this down. Rey's very classed as overpowered. She's always been classed as overpowered right from the start of The Force Awakens, and from the minute she was first introduced, really. They shown a brief training montage. I think is what she's needed literally since most of The Last Jedi. In fact, I think one of the big problems with The Last Jedi was the fact Rey had barely any training, just a couple tips and tricks from Luke. And yeah, I think with Rey training more, I think she will be a lot more deserving of her powers and abilities, and I think she will kind of improve as a character, and she won't be considered to be a Mary Sue. That was cool. But yeah, I did really like how Rey is now training, and also how we will be getting a rematch between Kylo and Rey. Something which we didn't exactly get in The Last Jedi. We kind of got a more psychological conflict between those two characters, but using the Force to kind of communicate with one another. And then of course the destruction of the Skywalker lightsaber. But of course that's been undone by Mr. J.J. Abrams himself, as Rey will be using that same saber. His head. I do apologize. I am very stuttery, like I said. I think the trailer as a whole, probably, I would give it a 9 out of 10. No, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I'd give the trailer an 8 out of 10. The movie I'm probably going to give a 10 out of 10. In all honesty, I can't see myself not giving it a 10 out of 10. It's the final Skywalker saga film. It's the last one. It's big. My hopes for the movie though is Rey is the main character of the sequel trilogy. That doesn't mean she's the main character of the entire saga. I think this film needs to kind of clarify who Rey is, and personally I still, to this day, since the day I went to go see The Force Awakens, I still stand by the feeling that she should be Luke Skywalker's daughter, or just a relative of the Skywalker bloodline. I think it wasn't exactly confirmed or debunked in The Last Jedi, because Luke seemed like he didn't know her, but at the same time a lot happened to Luke. Maybe something happened where he can't remember Rey, and now that he's dead, he can. I'm not sure. I still stand by the belief that Rey is within the Skywalker bloodline. I want her to be a part of the bloodline, because it will serve justice to the overall story of The Rise of Skywalker, the sequel trilogy, and also I think it will just truly bring some closure to that character and also the entire saga, because the whole saga's been about the Skywalker bloodline passing down, and I just find it stupid that the main protagonist of the new generation is not a part of that bloodline when the antagonist clearly is. I don't know, I just find it kind of silly and just pointless in a sense. But yeah. I would like to see I'm on that's stupid. I would like to see a lot more Force Ghost action, and I would adore the return of Hayden Christensen as Anakin, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. Of course, he's getting a Disney Plus series, but to be honest, I want him back in the main film before the series. Maybe Yoda coming back. I know he was in The Last Jedi, but still, I think Yoda being in The Rise of Skywalker as a Force Ghost would be very necessary, as he's also played a huge part in the entire saga. I want to see more Force Ghost action, and I would also like to see the Force Ghosts doing something cool, a lot like how Yoda did in The Last Jedi. Perhaps we get the epic Star Wars equivalent to Avengers Assemble on the ground as well, with the Force Ghost going up against Palpatine and possibly the old Sith Force Ghost. Will look pretty hard because poor Christopher Lee, he passed, a guy who played Count Dooku, I believe he passed away a couple of years ago, so of course they won't bring him back. But at the same time, it would be so cool just to kind of see the epic Jedi versus Sith battle on the ground, and then the Rebellion versus the First Order in the sky. Because I don't believe, judging by the trailer, that the final battle will take place in space, or the final dogfight will take place in space. I do believe it will take place on the planet that the Death Star has been crafted in. I think it's an amazing little attention to detail, and also just kind of further concluding this story by kind of ending it where it all began. However, that will more apply to a real life scenario, because of course the originals were released before the prequels. I think from a narrative standpoint, it would make more sense to kind of use Tatooine as one of the more focal areas of the movie, and I find it stupid that they've how Disney and I'm sorry, my controller's glitching, so I'm gonna leave this game. I find it kind of stupid how the desert planet Rey was on in the first trailer, and also where the desert skiff is. I don't think that's Tatooine, and I think that's a big mistake, because Tatooine is where Star Wars began. It's where Luke first walked into our lives, where Anakin grew up, and the whole story kind of revolved around Tatooine. And the fact the sequel trilogies has really forgotten about it, I think that's just ridiculous. I really do. I do hope they do go back to Tatooine at the very end for the final sunset memorial to the dead, Han Solo's funeral, whatever they want to do. But yes, I would like to see the Force Ghosts do more. An epic Jedi versus Sith battle, a load of lightsabers. Give me a load of lightsabers. Come on, we've had barely any throughout the sequel trilogy, and I want to see a big battle between the Jedi and the Sith, dead or alive. I don't care. The writing will probably, it won't happen because it does sound very far-fetched and crazy, and just maybe it wouldn't work. But to be honest, I think the story needs something good to go out. It needs to go out on a high note, because The Last Jedi was financially a failure. The prequels, although I think people quite like the Revenge of the Sith, and I do, to be honest, as well. The prequels were considered to be a failure in terms of quality and narrative. The CGI was terrible, and I can kind of agree with that. The early 2000s didn't have the strongest CGI. I think the writing was brilliant, but I think people complain about the cringy dialogue, Jar Jar Binks for one thing. Some of Hayden's performance in episode 2, and I do agree, Hayden Christensen was quite cringeworthy in episode 2. I thought he was amazing in episode 3, but that doesn't change. I want him back. I want him back one last time. I want all of the originals back. I would quite like to see some more flashbacks to the past, and also references to the past. The one thing about The Last Jedi which I absolutely love, and it's one of my favourite aspects of the whole saga, is how it's the first film to properly incorporate flashbacks. We couldn't do that with the original trilogy because the prequels hadn't been released yet, and it should have been one in The Force Awakens, at least. Just anywhere where you can kind of fill in the gaps, really, because there's a lot of time between certain movies, and there just has to be flashbacks that kind of fill in the gaps of what happened during those time. I don't want to see it just for nostalgia. I don't. I love nostalgia, and if it works, then go for it. If it doesn't, leave it out. But I think for flashbacks, it's kind of a win-win, because you're getting nostalgia, and also you're tying up a lot of loose ends, which I think this film has to do. Tie up Rey's heritage. What the hell was Snoke about? Please elaborate on that, J.J. Abrams. Please do. Why is Palpatine back? I called him Palpameme before, didn't I? Did I call him Palpameme? Yeah. I call him Palpameme because it's an ongoing joke between me and my brother. Very cringeworthy, and we just don't. Yeah, we just don't share it with anyone else. Just a joke, really. I don't know. But yes, I think this film's going to be the best Star Wars film to date. I hope it succeeds The Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith. My personal favourite is Revenge of the Sith. I would like it to be something that will... it has a lot to live up to in terms of what's the quality of some of the media that's come out this year. Again, another Endgame, and now Toy Story 4 reference. Those films perfectly concluded their stories. Perfectly. There were some things that could have been done and they weren't, but in terms of how they ended those stories, Endgame, or the MCU and Toy Story, they did that amazingly, and I would love it if 2019 ends with Star Wars doing the same, and probably even better than the other two, and that would just be that would just really top this year off as Disney's best year. It would. It seriously would. If their biggest releases all hit $1 billion, because every film Disney has released has done that. Maleficent has just come out, so I'm not including that. And neither has Frozen. But all the big releases like Aladdin, Lion King, Endgame, Captain Marvel, Far From Home, Toy Story 4, and all of those, all of them have reached 1 billion worldwide. I think The Rise of Skywalker will do the same, but it would be amazing if not only was it a financial success, but a public success. If the fan base enjoy it, I think that's what counts more. Money talks, money dictates whether something is successful, but at the same time, so do people's memories. And if people enjoy this film and remember this film for many years to come, and then one day, many years away, decide to rewatch the whole Star Wars Skywalker saga from start to finish, when they get to episode 9, I hope they are pumped, and I hope they are happy watching the finale, because there's nothing more thrilling than binge watching a movie saga, which is a lot like a TV show. Several movies, you know, they don't make sense on its own, but you can watch it on its own. One of those things, it would be really satisfying for that to do that, and I hope they do it. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap up my thoughts on the Rise of Skywalker trailer. A lot of it was just about talking what I want for the movie, and not much about the trailer itself. But yeah, I kind of summarized it all up. I haven't wrote anything down. I'm going to start doing that again soon, but of course I'm very busy at the moment. Around Christmas time, expect some good videos, but for the time being, I'm just kind of gonna keep my head down and focus on bigger priorities. But anyway, that will conclude this video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want, and I'll see you guys later.